Welcome back to Donington Park. John Hindhaugh, and alongside me, and it's not often I get to do this, is Ben Edwards. Ben, welcome back to the commentary box.
Thanks, John.
And that's a much better sight.
Yeah.
Looking out over the back of the new pit complex here to see a little bit of lightness in the sky.
It's a relief, isn't it? Because we've had some very heavy rain. It eased off and then it came back down again, and then we thought, well, are we going to get much racing at all underway here?
Let's go down to Nick Damon, who has the man in charge of the race weekend here. Alan Gow is speaking to Nick down in the pit lane.
Alan, it's a bit of a difficult day so far, isn't it?
It's been horrendous, to be honest. Terrible weather here, and I suppose a typical English summer, really.
Now, obviously, luckily it's dried up, so we're going to get a second touring car race on, but there is forecast more rain. I mean, can you handle that?
Yeah, I think this is a lull before the storm, but yeah, the touring cars is not a problem. It's usually the open wheelers that have an issue, and we've had to rejig the timetable. It won't make any difference to the touring cars, but some of the support races have to be moved around, and we've lost things like the pit road walkabout because of the impact it'll have on the timetable. But other than that, no, the touring cars are fine.
I know it's ifs and buts, but the last couple of laps of the first touring car race, if the weather was like at the start, would you have started them in those conditions?
Yeah, we have real men driving touring cars.
Well, Mike Jordan was a real man, so he thought it shouldn't have happened, and it seemed also that BMW was having more problems once it got really wet.
I was really surprised at that, to be honest. I would have thought that the BMWs, this is a perfect weather for them, but maybe it's just a setup issue that they've got, and I'm sure they'll probably be quicker this race.
Alan, whilst we got you here, how are you feeling now? We're just over halfway through this season. It's really been going rather well, hasn't it?
I think we've had a cracking season, and have a look at the points and the position and how many different people have won races, and it's anyone's call at the moment, and that's what you want, you know, the unpredictability of good touring car racing.
Now, we have heard some rumblings from SEAT. They're not very happy about the way that they have to run in the BTCC. Obviously, in the World Touring car, they get some more brakes on the flat four, and you were quite firm with them, saying it was their own fault. Do you still hold by that opinion?
They know exactly how they're meant to race in the BTCC, and what happens in the WTCC is totally separate to this. It has no effect on us. But SEAT are very happy with what they've got now.
So you don't see the need to do the equalisation that's been done for that series then?
No, and the equalisations, to be honest, are about the same as they are in the WTC. They play around with things on a race-to-race basis, but at the moment they're about the same as we are at the moment.
And one of the really interesting things, you've actually not had to do any fiddling this year so far, have you?
Fantastic. Haven't had to jiggle anything around. You know, people were concerned about the BTC spec cars before the season as to how competitive they were, and it's pretty much, you know, I hate to be, have a big ego about it, but it's pretty much as I predicted. You know, there's no need for any fiddling.
Alan, great. No one accused of having a big ego, mate. Thanks a lot.
Yes, very interesting, and always good to hear Alan Gow. Always has a good sound bite for any of the interviewers, Ben. One of the points that I'd like you to expand on that Alan's just been talking about there, the closeness of the championship halfway through the season. It's been a long time, Ben, since we've had a championship that is so finely balanced moving into the second half.
It's great to see it, isn't it? I mean, the last couple of years, Matt Neal's definitely had the edge in the early part of the season with that Integra, and he sort of built on that. Funnily enough, he didn't have a particularly good weekend here at Donington last year, but Plato had an even worse weekend, so Matt Neal had the advantage. But as you say, look, only 2 points separating Plato and Giovanardi. Matt Neal, you know, he's not completely out of touch. Still a lot of work to do. He needs a bit of bad luck for the other two, but this is touring cars. That can happen anytime.
Interesting as well, the difference in tactics, perhaps, between the Seats and the Vauxhalls. It almost seems to me as though, this perhaps sounds a little harsh, they're not throwing away the first two races, but their effort is concentrated on the third race of the afternoon, and so far that served them very, very well.
It has. I think in a way they're forced into that strategy because of the ballast system, and because, you know, if you qualify with maximum ballast, this is the first meeting that Jason hasn't qualified with the absolute maximum ballast, and they always know it's going to be tough once they've got full weight. So I think they do try and think it through. Well, okay, we might not qualify at the front for the first race. How do we come back for that? And I think you're right. I think the way the team has run Seat Sport UK this year, I think has been a big step up from what we've seen the last couple of years. Jonathan Haynes is now team manager, and I think he's done an outstanding job this year. I really do. I really rate him. He's worked with Darren Turner in the past, but he's come into the team, and I believe he's added a great deal to it.
And very quickly, what have Vauxhall got to do to keep the pressure on, and in fact to take away Seat's advantage that they seem to have?
They have a good car, John. I think they have a very good car in that Vectra, and I think that Seat are a little bit stuck. There's not a lot of development that they can go with that Cupra, whereas Vauxhall still have a bit left in the tank. So that's really what you've got to watch out for, and the fact that Giovanardi has won so many touring car titles. you never ever count him out. So I think we're still in for a great battle.
The second half of the season getting underway here at Donington Park. 2 more races to go in the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. I'm going to take my leave of you till later on in the afternoon, and it will be Tim Harvey who'll join Ben Edwards up here in the commentary booth, and I promise you will have some race action at a rapidly drying Donington Park when we come back here on Setanta Sports.
Welcome back to Donington Park, where indeed the rain has eased off at last, and we're in for some racing. Hopefully the pit lane's just been opened and the touring cars are making their way onto the circuit. We've had a bit of a pause here, so the fans have had to be patient, but now we are going to see the cars out on track and racing hard for round 17 of the series. Gordon Shedden will start from pole position as a result of winning the earlier race here today. Great effort from Shedden. He looked superb. He was out in front, so he had the advantage of being able to see where he was going, and he made full advantage of it despite several safety car periods to win the race by 6.6 seconds. But we saw a new podium finisher in Adam Jones, who brought the Team Air Cool Seat Toledo into second place. That was a good effort from him. And Matt Neal fought his way from a pit stop and a change of front tyre. It was debris, we gathered. He'd actually run over somebody else's drive shaft, which was a bit unfortunate, and that had caused a puncture. So Matt Neal there starts from third place on the grid. Mike Jordan, who was another one to recover from an early mistake, he told me that actually on that first lap he nearly ran into the back of Matt Neal, and that's why he then had to come off the brakes and take to the gravel. He shot off the track, got back on and recovered to finish in fourth place, and Jason Plato, who finished in fifth position. So that means Plato now leads the points by just 2 over Fabrizio Giovanardi, and there are 2 cars between them on the grid. Matt Allison and Colin Turkington will be in the space between the Seat and the Vauxhall. So there's a lot to watch out for here. Plenty of potential for people to move up the order a little bit. Matt Neal had the fastest lap earlier on, so we're expecting him to go well once again from third, and he won't be carrying quite as much ballast as he was earlier on. He's lost a little bit of weight, whereas of course Gordon Shedden has now gained maximum ballast himself, so that could make a little difference. Just seeing Simon Blankley. Now, John Hindhoff still with me at the moment. John, you're usually watching the support races, but I know you keep a keen eye on what's going on in the touring car races. That was a bit dramatic, that first race we had today, wasn't it?
It was, and having the chance to see it back on replay there just proves to me how much quality we've got right throughout the field. Yes, of course, we're looking at the big names that we're used to seeing, the Platos, the Neils, the Giovanardis at the front of the field. But look at people, I mean, and you've mentioned Mike Jordan, should have really been on the podium there. I bet he's kicking himself rather for losing it on the last lap. And
he said to me he actually didn't even realise Matt was around until he suddenly saw him come up under Starkey's bridge with so much momentum. He thought, well, I better not get in his way, otherwise I might not be here much longer.
And what about Adam Jones? You mentioned him. He was absolutely superb. We don't know much about this lad in this country because he's done so much of his stuff abroad, racing a lot in France in his early career. But he's certainly exploded onto the scene now, hasn't he?
He has indeed. Well, let's get straight down on the grid. The cars are down there, and I'm glad to say that Nick Damon has caught up with Jason Plato. Nick.
Yes, thanks Ben. On a rapidly drying, as we say, environment. Jason, much nicer conditions now.
Say again?
Much nicer conditions now.
Yeah, to be honest, they are. I mean, a lot of the standing water's gone, which is a good thing, really, because it's no fun. I mean, it's great fun driving on a wet track, but when you really can't see what you're doing and there's aquaplane, going on, so it's better for everyone. Also, it looks like for the minute it's stopped raining, which is great for the crowd. So, yeah.
Fifth place, obviously ahead of Fabrizio, which is good. So, I mean, you must be quite pleased to get through in one piece and get a bit of a gain of points.
Absolutely. I mean, we right at the beginning of the year we were praying for rain, back in November last year when we knew we were coming here. It's not our best track, and our car is very strong in the wet. So I think it's the best position we could have hoped for here. But to come from 9th on the grid to 5th is a good first race. Obviously now I've lost a lot of my championship ballast. So we'll be a little bit quicker in this one. And again, it's all about scoring points. We can't afford any offs. We've got to, even if it's a 5th, it's better than fighting for a 3rd and having an accident. So, it'd be nice to get on the podium here. That's what I'm looking for.
Are you guys still feeling a bit hard done by where the regs are in BTCC? You're not getting the various breaks you've got in the World Touring Car Championship?
No, I mean, the regs are the regs, and, we have what we have. Our car is, if not one of the strongest, the very strongest in the corners and on the brakes. and we've got some areas to improve in other areas. We're not as quick as some other cars, as the other cars in a straight line. That's just how it is. We've just got to fight away.
Well, best luck. Interesting, unfortunately, now some rain on your windscreen. So we are now getting a bit of rain coming back. It's looking very nasty over there, and I'm walking into a mechanic. But I'm going to walk down the grid as well because I want to talk to the other championship protagonist. That's Fabrizio Giovanardi. Fabrizio had a bit of an eventful race one. He was off, he was on, he was battered about, and he also couldn't see for most of the time because there's nothing but... And look, I've got an official door open. I feel very, very privileged. Someone's opened the door for me. Fabrizio, at least you can see. We had in-car footage from the race one, and it looked like we were just looking through fog.
Yeah, now it's quite clear. Before it was impossible to see the light in front of me. I just tried to remember the circuit and say maybe turn right or turn left. I was really struggling, but anyway, it was important to try to finish the races, is what I've done.
It's not really been a good weekend so far. You had a big problem in qualifying when your engine suddenly lost power. You've been struggling at the back a bit, and you've lost the lead, obviously, again to Jason Championship. I mean, do you feel now, with the conditions they are, and the car working again, you can actually get past them and actually gain the points back?
Yeah, it's a strange situation because it's raining and nobody's made the setup good for the wet condition. I'm not worried about the lead of championship. We have just to be careful, me and Plato, to Matt Neal, because you start to have a good car, you can take some more points, so that is the problem for me.
Fabrizio, thank you very much. Well, let's carry on going. Let's see who we can talk to elsewhere. I mean, it's always been a fun. The rain is now coming. We've got really nasty, globby rain now. This isn't going to do your hair any good, is it? No. You see, this is the problems here being a pit girl. Nice haircut, the wet ruins it. Get a cap next time. Good idea. Right, this is Tom Onslow. There's my hair advice. Vidal Sassoon, the pit lane. There we go. Because you're worth it. There we go. Anyway, Tom, just giving some advice to your pit girl. So I'm going to give some advice to you. Don't crash.
Right, cheers, thank you. It's had the same advice from Dick Bennett as well. You might be able to steal his job.
Yeah, I think not really. Well, we came to the grid only a few minutes ago and the weather was actually really nice, and suddenly now it's beginning to tip down again, so we're looking probably, I think, the same situation before, where it's going to get nastier as it goes on. I mean, is this just survival, or do you think you can make a bit of a lead quite quickly?
I think we've got a strong car, especially if we get a bit more surface water down on the track. We should have a very strong car, so I'm confident we can hopefully move forward.
Thanks, Tom. Well, from the man who has all the hair tips in the pit lane, it's back to the boy who's got some hair and quite good looking. It's Tim and Ben.
Which one was you talking about there, Nick? I noticed you suddenly put both our names in that. It's just to confuse us, I suppose.
Well, it's tough, isn't it? You know, beauty competition between two of us. People would be hard pressed to pick a winner.
Well, look at that. Just look at the joy. Yeah, the joys of camping in the British summer. I have to say, well prepared, mind you.
Yeah. I have to say, for those of you sitting watching this in the comfort of your own armchair, I think you're in the best spot, to be honest.
Definitely. Look at that. You know, this was a great weekend to invite my brother and my nephew along, wasn't it? You know, I could have chosen it a bit better.
Yeah, I've had a couple of calls of people saying, I think I'll just sit and watch it on Setanta today.
I'm not surprised. Well, that is the way it is. But, yes, even I think Alan Gow's hiding away in race control now. So even he's usually out there looking at what's going on, but he's decided to stay undercover for now.
Well, I think today is a bit, the whole day really is a bit like the first of Labour's new super casinos, because the whole meeting is a bit of a lottery. We don't know when the races are taking place, who's going to win, but also a bit of a total washout.
Very good, very good. Well, I think the umbrellas are being well utilised here today. Just look at that rain coming down once again. We're getting a bit used to this shot of tarmac with water bouncing off it, and I think we're going to see, look, they're still laughing and they're still smiling. That's so lovely to see. People still enjoying themselves. A few mobile phones might be going AWOL by the end of today, I think. That's Matt Neal's on board, by the way, just so you know.
Just an update on the Tom Chilton affair.
Yeah.
I believe the team did get the car fixed, but just before the pit lane closed. But when they dropped it down, they found they still left the steering lock stops in, which they put in to set the suspension. And he just missed getting out onto the pit lane. So I think you might find he's starting from the pit lane.
Right, okay, so that's again, he had to start from the back in the first race because he'd been found underweight after qualifying. And now he's going to start from the back again of this race. So Tom Chilton, he's going to have to try and get through a bit more cleanly than in the first race, though. He had contact with one or two cars coming, trying to make his way through the order, and he didn't really do a great deal. He finished in 15th place. So, a bit of work for Chilton to do as the rain comes down. There you are. There is Chilton's car just pointing out of the Vauxhall garage at the moment. think they'll send him on his way once this formation lap starts. And it's going to be Gordon Shedden to lead them away then, the Scot who was so impressive earlier on today. And he will lead Adam Jones, who finished in second place in the air-cooled Seat Toledo. Then we've got Matt Neal. Now keep an eye on Matt Neal because he fought his way up there into third place superbly well. This is the grid. It's Gordon Shedden and Adam Jones on the front row, and Shedden going for another race victory. He won last time out at Alton. Now he's had the first one of the day here at Donington. Did so last year and he won race 2. Matt Neal's thereabouts though, and so is Mike Jordan in the Honda Integra, which is such a rapid car in all conditions. Next up is Jason Plato and Matt Allison. So Plato fought well in that early race and stayed out of trouble when he could have got caught up in some tricky situations. Colin Turkington and Fabrizio Giovanardi are on the 4th row together. Again, the BMW could start well, so could Matt Jackson, but he's got a BMW alongside him. They're all together on the grid. I wonder how that's going to work out. Owen Murray and Darren Turner on row number 6 together. Alfa Romeo versus Seat. Then Richard Marsh and Erkut Kazilimak together. They're on row 7 of the grid. Row number 8, we've got Tom Chilton then. Yeah, well, we should have, but he's starting from the back. That's where his space is. So Pickney 16th gives Chris Stockton a bit of a run, bit of a clear space there. John George alongside on row number 9. And then on row number 10 it's Martin Bell and Fiona Leggett. And then as we work our way down towards the back, we've got Simon Blankley and Tom Ferrier and Jason Hughes on his own at the back. Although, as we say, now Tom Chilton will be coming from the back himself. Now, Colin Turkington has our onboard camera. He's also got the onboard radio, and he's lining up on the 4th row of the grid, just getting a bit of speed. Let's see if we can have a quick chat with him, find out what conditions are like out there at the moment. You can see he's just working the steering and throttle a little bit. This is Ben in the commentary box to Colin. Colin, what do you reckon on conditions? Better or worse than before?
Yeah, well, it's just started to rain, Ben, so it's pretty much a situation as race 1. I think there's going to be some puddles develop quite quickly on the circuit, so just going to have to, you know, sit on the edge of the seat here and try and keep it on the track.
I hope your windscreen's staying nice and clear at the moment.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, we've got some anti-mist on the screen, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, have a good one, Colin, and we'll see how that goes. As great clear communication there with Colin Turkington as he heads down now into the last corner through the right and the left that brings them back onto the start-finish area here. Lights on all cars because it is a wet race, declared a wet race, so all lights are on and have to be on for this one. At least that helps just a little bit. And there's Tom Chilton, who'll be starting from the pit lane. Spoke to Mike Jordan, Tim, just briefly between races, and he didn't even know Matt was so close behind him on that last lap.
Yeah, I had the same conversation. He said he was concentrating so much on the sort of 3 yards of track that he could see in front of him that he never saw anything coming behind him until it was too late. But very often the rear screens get fogged up and you just can't see.
So all cars virtually in place now. Tom Ferrier coming into the pit, so there's a problem there for the Motorbase Performance Seat Toledo. Tom Ferrier coming into the pits. Maybe he wants to start from the pit lane rather, although he's at the back anyway. So
Adam Jones lined up facing to the right, so his intentions stated very clearly.
Here we go then, round 17 about to get underway. Is Shedden going to get off the line? Well, good start from both front row men, and Jason Plato makes an excellent start as well. So you can see the yellow and silver Seat trying to find some space, but can't quite get alongside Matt Neal. So it's Shedden who leads. Adam Jones in second place, Matt Neal still in third. Everybody so far being reasonably well behaved. Matt Jackson going on the outside there. Oh, and he gets squeezed onto the dirt and onto the mud through the puddle and gets back on with Mike Jordan on his inside. Darren Turner trying to make up some ground as well. Down through Craners. This is where we saw some trouble earlier on today. But so far so good. It's Gordon Shedden that leads the race. Adam Jones in second, Matt Neal in third. And then Jason Plato in fourth, Mike Jordan in fifth, and Jackson just a little bit wide.
Yeah, as you said, both the front row guys got away well. Adam Jones pulled straight across to the inside to defend, but in actual fact, he didn't really need to because Matt Neal didn't get the best of getaways.
Well, Shedden's making most of this, and look at Matt Neal now with a chance of getting alongside Adam Jones. Couldn't quite finish the move there. Jones gave him the space, but Matt Neal couldn't quite get alongside, and this is all giving the other Team Halford's car a chance to make a little bit of a break, and that's vital for Gordon Shedden. Further back you can see Matt Jackson, and Darren Turner's moved up a few places, so he's had a pretty good first lap. This is the race for second position, and here comes Matt Neal, the reigning champion, a Donington maestro, and he's on the outside. Can he do that? That's John Jordan who's gone off over at McLean's. Can he make the move? Coming down, yes, he's got past. So he's got past Matt Neal goes into second place. Adam Jones back to third, and now Jason Plato on the attack.
Yeah, a good bit of late braking there from Matt Neal. Very brave on the first and opening lap to go round the outside there. Totally reliant on being able to brake later, because certainly Jones had the inside covered. So good aggressive move from Matt Neal. He doesn't want his teammate to get too big a lead too quickly.
So down the hill through Craner curves, fast section of the track. This flat out in the dry, not quite so flat out in the wet. And watch those curbs, they're very, very treacherous in these conditions. Down the hill, and Gordon Shedden and Matt Neal making a Team Halfords 1-2 at the moment. Still Adam Jones doing a fine job in third place in the Team Aircall car. Right behind him, though, is Jason Plato. Plato now with a 2-point lead in the championship after that earlier race. And Giovanardi, his big rival, is in 6th place, only a couple of places behind, but not apparently quite as quick. Yellow flag at that area as they recover John George's car.
Yeah, they've got the recovery vehicle there, so they'll pull that out without the need of a safety car, fortunately, and he'll get through. I noticed Adam Jones using a few different lines. Oh, and that's also Cole's gone off there in spite of the yellow flag.
Yeah, that's a bit naughty. Shouldn't really be sliding like that. Was there another car involved? Let's see what happened. This, as you say, was under yellow flag, so they should have been a little cautious. That was looking back at Craner's. Don't quite know what that was about. Never mind. And down the hill towards the chicane. Jordan very wide there. I think he made a mistake. I think he's allowed Giovanardi through. Yes, he has. Mike Jordan loses 5th place, and Giovanardi has moved up one. So now Jordan's got to watch out for Darren Turner and Matt Allison.
Yeah,
right
Turner just slipped past Allison on the way into the chicane there.
Plato trying to get past Jones, and this is the battle for 3rd place. Couldn't quite do it there. The leaders just beginning to break away, and Plato wants to go with them. But watch Giovanardi, the danger man, who's now got up behind Jason Plato. Well, not quite behind him yet, but he's the next on the track. There you are, the view from the Italian's car, and it's his championship rival Jason Plato ahead, who's trying to get past of Adam Jones, who's a touch wide at the old hairpin.
Yeah, Adam Jones is using a lot of the outside lines. If you stay on board, you'll see Adam Jones, 2 cars in front, uses the outside line at McLean's where they're coming up to now. Watch here, follow the car. You see he goes slightly wider, comes in later, not as wide as he has been in the past because he's defending, but he was also doing that at Redgate. So Adam Jones looking for the grip on the outside of the track.
This is older model Seat versus the latest version Seat. And it's very, very close as they come out of Coppice corner, but Plato's had a good run there. That was a good exit out of Coppice, and he's passed before they even get on the straight.
Yeah, just superior traction, wasn't it? Really good traction. He turned the car tighter, got the power on, and just pulled past him even before the end of the corner.
So Plato gains another position. Here we are, another quick replay of that. And Jones just skating a bit wide. Great grip on the inside there from Plato. Makes me wonder next time he might try that line. There might be more grip available. So Shedden still leads from Matt Neal in 2nd place. Plato now up into 3rd. Jones back to 4th. 5th position. Now what's happened to Giovanardi is he dropped back a little bit again, because I was expecting to see Giovanardi come through there in 5th place, and maybe he was, just still ahead, I think, of Jordan. The Alphas come through, they're all running pretty close together. You've got Pinkney and Marsh running 12th and 13th at the moment as they come back down the hill. It still looks pretty treacherous, as you can see. They're still being careful. Yeah, there's Giovanardi, he's still there. Ahead, a little bit of a gap to him, to Mike Jordan. And then Matt Allison, he's running in 7th place. Darren Turner in 8th. Matt Jackson in 9th. And then Chris Stockton's going well in the Lexus. Been out of luck with that car, and they've had all sorts of problems with the engine this weekend. But that's more like it. Chris is a top racer. He's a winner in British GT races. He's been a Le Mans racer, and he's got that Lexus in the points already here. Now riding on board with Matt Neal. Man who's had so much success here at Donington. You remember that £250,000 win he had in the 90s. He's had some important successes here since then as well. He loves the place, but is he going to push his teammate?
Well, I think he will. I mean, they're both fighting from sort of a rearguard action in the championship point of view, so whoever's quickest will definitely go for the win. Here's Chilton just getting through the traffic all across the curbs. As always, he gets past Martin Bell. Don't forget he started for the back, and that's Ferrier behind. Now, Ferrier we saw come in the pits. He obviously came straight back out again, and he's running a poor position on the track. This is a battle for 17th and 18th position.
Yeah, it's nice to see Tom Ferrier. He's in the blue, black and orange car, but Martin Bell doesn't want to let him through that easily, but surely he can't do much. Here's the battle for 2nd now between Matt Neal and Jason Plato. Plato enjoying the wet conditions, I think, with the Seat, because he struggled in the 3 practice sessions on Saturday. carrying maximum ballast, he just seemed to struggle for pace, but now he looks very much on the pace here. And in the background you can just see that Jones has been caught by Giovanardi as well, so we've got a couple of dices to watch. Here they come up the hill, the view back from Matt Neal's car. You can't see a great deal, but that is Jason Plato sitting in behind him.
Yeah, Jason Plato set the quickest lap of the race last time, some 2/10 of a second quicker than Matt Neal in front of him, and 1/10.5 quicker than Shedden leading the race. So at the moment, Plato's got the car working very well.
But is he going to find a way past Matt Neal? That's going to be a tall order. These two are, of course, great rivals, and there's no love lost between them. They've had a few incidents over the last few years. Plato and Neal, of course, were the two major championship protagonists last year, but this is the main protagonist this year. It's Giovanardi in the Vauxhall. He's trying to have a little bit of a look at Adam Jones. Just watch the mud there that Jones kicked up a moment ago. Is that a bit of tactics?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Adam Jones used to be a motocross rider because he's learnt to kick up the roost in the face of Giovanardi, but you take any advantage you can.
Look at that, he is pretty close, but I can tell you that Plato's even closer to Nat Neal. He's even on the outside of him going through Redgate Corner. Here comes Giovanardi. Whoa, that's Plato and Neal sideways, and they make contact, but Plato squeezes ahead. And in the background, Giovanardi was unable to get past. Well, they both did brilliantly to recover that.
Well, there were recollections of Snetterton last year when they had a whole banging match to the flag at the end of the race there. There was recollections of that, but Pinckney, meanwhile, is still exploring the sand pits, but Plato is through.
He is, so that puts him into second position. And Giovanardi can see that championship lead that Plato's managed to reopen just might stretch out a little further here. Matt Neal not able to fend him off there in the background. Jones is still doing a good job of keeping Giovanardi behind him. Let's see what happened. This is the onboard view.
Yeah, we're coming down the pit straight, and I think we see Plato go to the outside. Yeah, he goes down the outside. Matt Neal defending the inside, so braking slightly earlier. Plato actually finding good grip there on the outside, but puts himself in a position where he's very close to Matt on the exit and contact and everything, but just shows how much grip there is on the outside.
Yeah, now
there we go.
Yeah, Giovanardi attacking here for fourth place down the inside. Surely he's got the move made as long as he turns in. Yes, he does. Judged that well. Didn't go down the escape road that we've seen so many people do so far today in these wet conditions. So good judgment on the braking. That puts Giovanardi up one into fourth. So the two main championship rivals are gradually moving up the order here. Plato's got himself into second. Giovanardi's got himself into fourth place. And there's so little to choose between these two aces in these conditions. As really both driving superbly well. Adam Jones, mind you, not dropping far away from Giovanardi. Mike Jordan still in sixth, Darren Turner in seventh, Matt Allison is eighth, then Matt Jackson ninth, Colin Turkington in 10th, Tom Onslow Cole in 11th, and Richard Marsh in 12th place. Stockton, who we mentioned earlier, he's dropped back down to 13th, and Jason Plato still the man with the fastest lap in this race.
Yeah, Adam Jones in three-year-old car doing a very good job, even in these difficult conditions. And you know, you've got to expect that the newer cars are going to come past him, and they're just that much later technology. But he's doing a good job, and it's so easy to make a mistake in these conditions. I'm really impressed with him. But we've got Mike Jordan just catching up a little bit, and Mike Jordan running a little bit quicker than Adam Jones, about half a second quicker on that last lap. So Mike Jones will be Mike Jordan will be looking to get on terms by the next couple of laps.
It's another good demonstration though, Tim, of just how even these rules are of the older British touring car spec cars, which is what Mike Jordan's driving, and the World or the Super 2000 rules, the kind of car that Adam Jones and Jason Plato are driving. They're still so even in these conditions.
Yeah, and of course also we've got to remember that the weight doesn't make much difference in these conditions. It's more about chassis setup, driver ability, as we see a battle here between Onslow, Cole and Stockton.
Yeah, Stockton's trying to recover some of the ground that he had lost. So this is good stuff. Lexus in the black car versus the orange car. There was slight contact. Oh, they did well there to get through. But Tom Onslow Cole might get him on the exit of the corner. Then he gets into a slide. Chilton is tucked in behind him as well. 12th place for Stockton, 13th place for Onslow Cole as they cross the line. And then Tom Chilton tucked in behind them as well. Chilton still with a lot to do in this race, but there's still time. We're only around the half distance mark, just under half distance so far. Ooh, that Lexus getting into a slide out of Redgate. Rear wheel drive, of course, the Lexus, like the BMWs. but they have struggled for straight line speed this year with the Lexus. They've had some sort of fuel pressure problem they really haven't got to the bottom of. Perhaps in these conditions it's not making such a difference.
Maybe not as well, but I mean, Stockton is a fighter, isn't he? You know, he wasn't going to give that position easily, you know, more modern car or not, but the BMW does have a very good engine. Look at that, powering up alongside, but Stockton will fight him because he's on the inside into McLean.
Oh, this is good hard racing. And Tom Onslow, Cole, you be careful. Stockton's as hard as they come. Oh, a little bit of a slide. This is great stuff between these guys. They've been side by side for almost a lap now. Stockton with the inside line. Onslow, Cole gets a squeeze. And you could understand Stockton just saying, oi, I want that bit of road. But again, good stuff from both drivers.
Yeah, very good stuff. Now you see immediately Stockton has to go to the inside to defend because the BMW is quicker on the straight.
Well, this is the battle up front. Look how Plato has caught Shedden. Plato is flying here, Tim. Look, there was a huge gap to the race leader a little while ago, but Jason Plato is now challenging for the lead.
Yeah, and he's getting quicker and quicker. Another fastest lap on the last lap at 26.0 as opposed to 27.2 for Shedden. So really Plato's found a sweet spot with that Seat Leon setup round here. He wasn't looking forward to it in the dry and looked off the pace, but at the moment the conditions suiting him and the car very well.
Yeah, this is a real good drive from Jason Plato, the sort of drives that wins you championships perhaps, but don't forget that Fabrizio Giovanardi's putting in a similar sort of drive behind. He's in 4th place, but not really catching Matt Neal, which is what he needs to do to keep the pressure on Plato. Plato now, has he got a decent run out of Coppice corner? Shedden goes to the inside, defends the inside line down towards the chicane. Plato will have to go to the outside if he's to try anything, but he's not quite close enough to actually draw alongside. So tight under braking at that tricky braking area into the chicane. Again, beautiful judgment by both drivers. No looking up, no running wide, and they come through still in the same places. Shedden leads, Plato second, then that little gap back to Matt Neal in 3rd, and then Giovanardi in 4th.
Yeah, they did that whole braking and through the chicane with no more than 6 inches between them, so real precision driving, and well, it's good to see, isn't it? But I mean, of course, don't forget that Seat have a lot more experience with this car. They've run it for a couple of seasons now, so they have setups for the wet. Giovanardi, by contrast, a brand new car, they can only develop settings for the car during this year, so perhaps the wet conditions really helping Seat with their car knowledge.
Yeah, and that applies, of course, to Team Halfords as well, because that's a new car, isn't it? And I think they may have had a little bit of testing in the wet at Pembrey, but nothing much to speak of.
No, Tim Plato there couldn't really be anything other than a family member, could he, with exactly the same nose profile, but he's looking on anxiously to see how Jason gets on.
Gordon Shedden, though, look, you know, he is impressive, isn't he? You know, he's soaked up that pressure there on that last lap. He just managed to eke out a length or so. So far, no mistakes from him at all. And Shedden is only in his 2nd season, remember, of touring cars. Double race winner here last year. He has been so strong, and the team are delighted, obviously, with the sort of performances he's putting in. But can he withstand the pressure over the remaining laps? They'll be coming across the line this time to complete 10 out of 16 and go on to lap 11. So Shedden could have his mirrors full for quite a long time here.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't forget, he knows that Plato's got a championship on the line, and all the time that Plato is in front of Giovanardi, he knows he's not going to do anything too reckless. But certainly the Seat looks to be much better on the brakes, really seems to be able to gain, and I think Plato was dropping back there to get a run at him, and now he's done that round the outside with a lot of grip on there. Shedden gives him plenty of room. He could have put him on the curbs, and now they're going to go side by side down the Grainers. Oh, Shedden turns in across the nose. That was brave.
It was brave, but he stays in front. Remember, there's 36 kilos difference in weight here because Shedden's on maximum ballast and Jason Plato is only on 9 kilos of ballast, so that could be all the difference. But so far, Shedden, despite that extra weight, is staying in front of Jason Plato. This is lovely to watch because you're watching 2 top drivers in the most difficult conditions, just treading a tightrope really to get it right, and Plato at the same time trying to put his car in a position to overtake. There's real skill being displayed here.
Yeah. Oh, and now is this the opportunity? It looked like Shedden ran a little bit wide. We know how tight the Seat can turn, but no, they both come out very equally.
Yeah, he's good. Shedden, he recovers, isn't he? He makes a little mistake, but he's able to recover it. Little bit like Plato, we see Matt Neal do that often as well. Back down, and oh, he's left a bit of a space, has he? No. Jason thought about it there. You You cannot leave any space in touring cars because there'll be a car in a space, even if it's not quite wide enough. In the background, meanwhile, Giovinardi has caught right up to Matt Neal.
Yeah, we've got the two championship protagonists both fighting with a Halford Civic for first and third places.
Jason trying that wide line in Redgate again, and Matt Neal going a bit, there's a little bit of a nudge. Matt Neal's a bit wide. Giovinardi, here comes Jason Plato. He's got it this time. Jason Plato used the wide line at Redgate. He had a fantastic run off the corner, and Jason Plato's taken the lead.
Yeah, sooner or later that was going to work, wasn't it? He's trying every which way. But did Giovinardi get past the background? No, he didn't. Still in fourth place. So advantage Plato in the championship just at the moment, with two cars between him and Giovinardi.
That's right, but Giovinardi tucked in there with Matt Neal, and he's looking to get past if possible. Plato now with an opportunity surely to ease away a little bit. Let's see how much quicker he is than Shedden. Shedden holding on to second position, and then that race for third place still going on between Matt Neal and Fabrizio Giovinardi. Giovinardi will be able to see that Plato has taken the lead of this race. He'll be anxious to try and reduce the number of cars between himself and the Seat. And if you look back, there is that battle. Vauxhall very tight out of Coppice. That could work. But has he got enough? No, Matt Neal's able to cover it just about.
Only just managed to get over in front, because we know the Vauxhall's very quick. It has a very strong engine. It's usually quickest on the straights. He's relying on Matt going in a little bit too quick and maybe making a mistake and getting a run at him through the corner. But there you see, they just equalise on the X's. They both get on the power at the same time. Very difficult to carry enough momentum through that chicane to really gain.
So evenly matched. We've got the Seat leading this race now, a Honda Civics running second and third, the Vauxhall Vectra in fourth place, and a Seat Toledo in fifth position, and all of the cars so evenly matched around the turns and twists and dips of this Donington Park track in very tricky conditions. Plato has eased away, has got a useful margin. It was 1.3 seconds across the line again. Giovinardi taking a different line, not really an overtaking line. He's just trying to get a good exit out of the corner, but it's always difficult to overtake on this next section. Although Matt Neal himself is one of the masters of doing it. Let's see how much Matt covers the inside here.
Yeah, it just goes to the middle of the road, doesn't he, to sort of give that indication that he's blocking, but without compromising his line too much.
Yeah, that's always the price you pay, isn't it? Go in too tight, you'll be slow through the corner, but don't go in tight enough and the other car will dive through. Nice through Coppice, and Matt Neal looks good up there. See a slightly different line, often see a variety of lines up at that corner, but now watch Matt Neal, he'll probably come over to the right, or has he left it? No, he hasn't. He left it a bit later that time, and Giovinardi says, right, I'm through here, and suddenly that Vauxhall power comes into its own.
Yeah, I think Matt was probably concentrating on looking ahead and assuming he could pull over halfway down the straight like he did the last lap, but Giovinardi had already got a run at him.
Yeah, so third place now for Giovinardi. That's what he wanted. He's got a bit closer once again to Jason Plato, who leads this race. It's Plato, Shedden in second place. Giovinardi now up to third for Vauxhall. Fourth place for Team Halfords is Matt Neal. Fifth place is still Adam Jones. Sixth place is Mike Jordan. And in seventh place, Darren Turner in the second of the Seats. Matt Allison is still in eighth place. A bit of a lonely eighth place. There he is. Look, all on his own he is. That's an unusual situation to be in touring cars. Matt Jackson is running in ninth, but he's under some pressure here from Colin Turkington. BMWs, one is a privately run car with a standard H-pattern gearbox, and the one behind the Team RAC car of Turkington here, who's going around the outs. Oh, Jackson gets into a big slide, and Turkington takes advantage.
Yeah, that slide enough to lose his forward momentum, and that was all the difference between them coming off that corner. Just shows the importance of keeping the car straight. You know, it always looks great when you see the car going sideways, especially the rear-wheel drive car, but it loses you forward momentum, and that allowed Turkington, who didn't get the car out of shape, to just drive off the corner. Look at that.
Great pictures, as you say, but it's not the fast way, is it? So that, as you say, is the advantage there to Turkington, and that's brought him up into ninth position. His teammate Tom Onslow Coles in 11th. Tom Chilton is in 12th place, by the way. Here's a little race going on. Darren Turner's got a chance perhaps here on Mike Jordan. No, not quite alongside enough, going under the braking area. Oh, he's had a good run through the chicane. Jordan just seemed to lose a bit of speed mid-corner, and Jordan's aware of it because he's now hugging the right-hand line.
Yeah, it was interesting. We thought Jordan was going to shoot up behind Adam Jones, but he hasn't, and in fact he's now come under pressure from Turner, which has allowed Adam Jones to consolidate that safe 5th place. But Turner now with an overlap, and we know good traction off the corner. It's another side-by-side run.
Oh, Jordan's just able to come across in front of the Seat, but only just, and the Seat pops over the curb a little bit. Mike Jordan tiptoeing into Old Hairpin. This is still a fast corner even in these conditions. Just seems to lose a bit of mid-corner speed there again, and mid-corner he just seems to be a bit down on speed, and Turner's through. Turner goes round the outside, made it look very easy in fact.
Yeah, he did. I think Mike Jordan just over-committed a little bit late on the brakes, and so therefore late back on the power to get the forward, get the exit speed, and well, Turner just overlapped straight away and drove around the outside.
There's his teammate, Jason Plato, race leader by 3.6 seconds last time around. This is a masterclass from Jason Plato, and this is just the sort of result he needed. He had a miserable time here at Donington last year, and really in some ways it was the Donington meeting that effectively ended his championship challenge. You could say there were other reasons as well, but they had a nightmare of a race meeting here last year, did Seat, and certainly did Jason Plato. But this is a very different story. This has been a great drive from Plato to take the lead. We're on to the final lap. He's got a big margin over Gordon Shenton in second, Giovanardi in third, and then a little race for fourth. Look, Adam Jones has come back to challenge Matt Neal, and that could go all the way to the checker flag at the end of this lap.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, back to Plato, you're right. Last year his best result was a 7th, and when he qualified in 9th place in qualifying yesterday, we thought, well, maybe he's in for another nightmare weekend, but I really think the weather has saved him.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Oh, there's a slide by Matt Neal, gathered together well, but Jones will have seen that and think, oh, I might be able to take advantage, but Neal's so clever. He puts the car exactly in the right place, then has a good run through Old Hairpin. That's why he is a double champion. He can save those moments and still actually gain a little bit from it. There is Jason Plato, though, who has driven the best of everybody in this race. He started from the 3rd row of the grid. He was 5th position on the grid. He's only carrying the 9 kilos of ballast, and he's certainly taken advantage of that. He's got fastest lap in the race. He's had several fastest laps, in fact, and he's now just got the final corner to deal with to take victory, and he will now match Giovanardi for number of race wins this season. The two of them have dominated in terms of race victories, and now Jason Plato will go to 5 wins this season so far. There's his dad to offer congratulations. That was good, and his dad knows it too. Jason drove beautifully there to take the win by 5.8 seconds. Gordon Shenton takes second, Giovanardi third, Neal just takes fourth ahead of Jones, Turner is 6th, and Mike Jordan is 7th. Well, racing all the way there, and in fact I think we might see a bit more. Matt Allison is due round. We've also got Tom Chilton trying to get past Tom Onslow-Cole, and this is for 11th place. It's not for a point, but it is for another position on the grid, remember, for race 3, so it's always worth fighting for, but you've got to keep the car in one piece. Onslow-Cole covers the inside well. Chilton just gives him a bit of a tap through the corner, and it's going to be a drag race to the line. Oh, it's Onslow-Cole who just takes it. Tom Chilton right behind him, and then it's Stockton who comes across the line in 13th position. So Plato definitely the man of that race, there's no doubt about it, but behind him Gordon Shenton drove as hard as he could, just didn't quite have the pace of that Seat in the latter stages, but still very useful points to him. And Giovanardi, of course, Tim, keeps that championship bubbling away. Plato will just extend it by a few more points, but it's still close.
It is bizarre. In all the lottery of the conditions and the grids and everything else, these two guys just keep never more than a few places apart, either in points or in results. Sometimes one will have an up meeting, one a down, but then it balances out. But so far the class is coming together. Just listening interestingly to Colin Turkington's radio, his team saying well done, 9th place but first rear wheel drive car. He was saying that the oversteer and the rear of the car very nervous, lack of traction. We could see that, couldn't we? But certainly in these wet conditions the front wheel drive cars are enjoying a bit of an advantage.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, they seem to have the edge in these conditions, particularly as it gets a little bit more greasy and just dries off a little bit. And Plato used those advantages to absolute best effect. So let's get down there and see if we can get some reaction. So we'll just wait to see when Jason gets out of the car. He should be well pleased with that one. Of course, you were saying it swings one way and then the other, Tim, but of course what this means with the reverse grid for race 3 is that Giovanardi will be slightly ahead of Plato on the grid, not by much, just one place, one car in between them, but of course he'll be that little bit lighter, so maybe the pendulum will swing back to Giovanardi again.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we've seen, the weight is not a huge factor, although Gordon Shedden didn't enjoy the advantage in that race that he did in the first one.
So the result, Jason Plato the winner from Gordon Shedden in second and Giovanardi up there in third. Matt Neal was fourth, Adam Jones another strong fifth ahead of Darren Turner, Mike Jordan, Matt Allison in eighth, then Colin Turkington and Matt Jackson. And the rain's coming down again, just as I thought it might have eased off. It's really on and off today, there's no doubt about it, but it is coming down quite hard at the moment. Jason Plato was not too worried about that, though. He's taken the race win that he wanted. The Dunlop guys are in there to quickly check tyre pressures, make sure everything is all right. And those Dunlop tyres, again, doing a fine job clearing the water. A lot of standing water out there in some sections of the race, although it's got worse now, definitely, than it was even a few minutes ago. I don't know if Plato's just trying to stay dry, but he doesn't seem to be in any rush to leap out of the car, does he?
Yeah, all the first three cars all weighed on the scales and checked for splitter height. No problem there. The car picks up weight, obviously, in the wet.
You like that one? He did like that one, Tim.
He drove a good race because, you know, he could have sat back behind Shedden, couldn't he, and not risked anything.
Yep.
But he knew he had a quicker car and he took the advantage.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of drive that a driver of his caliber really enjoys, really gets something out of it. I think you could see that very well in his reaction. Let's get down to with him. He's with Warren.
Right, he's down here somewhere. He was just in the rain and now he's getting a big hug. You look very, very happy. That was a hell of a drive.
Yeah, we you know, our car at the Seat Leon is fantastic in the wet, and you know, it's a great evener. And we made some changes with the engineer before the race, before that last race. My car was fantastic. Of course, I've had some ballast off the car, but we really made the car work there. It was fantastic.
It looked like you were getting some serious drive out of corners where other people were struggling. You were taking a wider line and just firing it out.
Yeah, that's back to remembering my old days in karting when I was a kid, and the wet line round here works. That was good.
Championship's looking quite good. It's gone a lot better at Donington this year so far than it did last year.
Yeah, that's not difficult, is it? It is, but you know, there's still a long way to go, and Fabrizio is a very sharp blade, and Matt's obviously come on song now, so it's a long way to go just yet, but so far so good.
We'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, you like that one. That was a good result for Plato. Let's see what it does to the championship. Well, he was leading before we went into that one, and that's opened it up a little bit now. 9 points his edge over Fabrizio Giovanardi. Again, Matt Neal stalking around there in third place, 116 points. Gordon Shedden now up to fourth. He was fifth before that race, so he's climbed up the leaderboard a lot today. I think he started in seventh place when we came to this meeting. So Gordon Shedden making great moves up the leaderboard. So lots more to look forward to. We've got another touring car race today and plenty of support action. Stay with us on Setanta Sports.